tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzzers! Welcome to another UnREAL After Show. I'm your host, Sam Davidson. If you guys haven't done so already, please go on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, rate, review, subscribe. We really appreciate hearing your feedback. We have a very special after show tonight because we have a very special / very evil guest here in the studio with us tonight, Aline Elasmar. Say hi.
Hi.
Shia is shy, guys. And of course, I have my two awesome co-hosts here with me as well.
Hey guys, I'm Bobby DeMuro.
And it's Aja Monet.
All right, guys, let's get into this. All I have to say after this week is, wow. We went there.
And then some?
Yeah, and then some cleaning up on the ground afterwards after we went there. But what did you guys think overall of this episode?
How do we recover is the question. Like,
that was intended.
That was a lot. Wasn't expecting it. Wasn't. So.
Is Mary dead? That's the biggest question, right? Is she dead? We didn't get a confirmation yet. I know we saw blood. I know she's lying there. I need to know she's dead before I make the full judgment. But holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, holy crap. Definitely the sentiment that was echoed when we kind of read that, and to see it executed was a whole nother thing entirely. Like, to film the scene coming around to see her is like, it was shocking.
Yeah.
It was shocking, and I knew what happened. I was like, oh God, this is awful.
What happens next?
I can't say. You have to watch. Come on now.
Well, it was, I think, a big turning point for the series. I say that every episode, that like it gets crazier and crazier.
Yeah, I think what's so crazy about UnREAL is I feel like more happens in one episode of UnREAL than happens in an entire season of another show. Where I'm just like, how much more can we cram in that is just propelling this story forward? And, you know, part of that is kind of the construct that each episode follows a girl, and so you get their entire story sort of truncated in this 1 hour of television, but the pace is crazy.
Yeah, it's there's a fan that keeps on commenting that Sam needs a like poster board, and I'm like, listen, I am looking at some crazy stuff that I've written here that makes no sense of all of the characters and how they intertwine. So I'm trying, but it's crazy every episode.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. Well, do you have some news to give us, Bobby?
We do. Before we get started, guys, we got a lot to talk about today. I know she's going to run that. But quick question for y'all at home. We give you guys a ton of free content here at AfterBuzz, and as part of that, we have a ton of great sponsors, great partners that we work with. One of them is Mazda, and Mazda has a question for you guys. Does driving matter to you? Well, there are over 4 million miles of road in the U.S. to find out. That is a lot of ground to cover, a lot of highways, freeways, wrong ways, and long ways, and they are all there waiting to be driven on. So, do you take that left turn at Albuquerque, or do you just keep going? Do you wake up early on Sunday morning for a drive before the traffic does, or do you take the long, winding road home for a change? If driving matters to you guys at home, just get out and drive. Why? Well, because driving matters. Mazda. Thanks to them for that. I understand one of us on the panel has a unique story today that links to Mazda directly.
I bought one today.
That was, just for the record, for the Mazda corporate folks who listen in every week, that was because of my live read last week. Is that correct?
It was completely subliminal.
Okay.
Yeah, subliminal.
Great.
And to answer your question,
that.
I take the turn at Albuquerque that takes me to Vegas.
And we know
in my
happens.
Mazda. Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. I-40 or whatever goes through Albuquerque, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know what? That's some really useful information, and I'm really glad we shared it. So let's get into it tonight. Let's start off with Chet and Quinn, who, their storyline confuses me a little bit this week because Quinn lets it go. basically. So what happens is that Quinn and Chet need to pitch the newest suitor to the network executives. And, you know, it's some douchey, terrible guy. He's an ex-action star. Rehab, blah, blah, blah. He's just getting out, though, so...
Right. He'll be great for ratings.
Yeah, and Chet really wants to collaborate. I think, you know, he gave Quinn the 40% because he loves her and he thought she deserved it. I think he also gave it to her because he wanted to get her back.
Mm-hmm. Their relationship is, to me, so fascinating, right? Like... It's one of those things where as an outsider you can really clearly say like, oh, they're so bad for each other. Mm-hmm. And yet I think everybody has something where it's like, whether it's romantic or not, you have these relationships that just over time become kind of ingrained in you and you don't know how to let those people go, despite the fact that they're not good for you. Mm-hmm. I find them really, really fascinating. And I think Craig and Constance know each other from before and have worked together before. And that so informs what they're doing together.
And it matters, too, that I think tonight's episode informs a lot of that relationship in that they work so well together because they're so different. So Constance, so Quinn, is so closed off to the numbers, the production, the television. Well, the Q score, the 16 to 24 rating, even in television, and I know people in television, this is what they do. Yeah. I don't think anybody gives a damn about that. It's the big picture. Executives want the big picture. He's on his phone with her, and then Chet says, oh, but we got this crazy thing. We can do this. And so you have Quinn, who's by the book, by the numbers, knows what's going on. She's the line-by-line accountant almost. Yeah. And then you've got Chet, who's like, okay, what's the big picture? And the two of them fit really well together.
Yeah, they work really well together because, you know, somebody has to pull back the reins and say, we can't do this thing, and then somebody has to push it forward and say, yes, we can.
Yeah. And let's just keep it real, too. Quinn is the brains behind the whole machine, and Chet is the personality. Mm-hmm. People gravitate towards him for his personality. So they do kind of work hand in hand, but they're so not good for each other. So not good for each other.
It's just a never-ending cycle because their talents in work perfectly together. Mm-hmm. However, them as a romantic couple don't, but there's no real divide is kind of what we learned this episode too, because Quinn, last week she made it very clear. She was like, I am done. Yeah. Totally done. This week, you know, Chet tries to collaborate with her. She doesn't want any of it. They go into the pitch. It goes well. The executives love it. They leave and then start to try to have sex.
Right, they're riding the high of this achievement that they've had together. I love the phone call that he gets in the car.
Oh,
and it's just like, okay.
I mean, we saw this kind of happen before when he tried to pacify her with the house. It's like he does the same. It's a cycle. It's not anything different. He hasn't shown me anything different by the way he treats her. So she just keeps coming back.
And isn't this parallel irony for Quinn where you have all these girls she's manipulating and, you know, the girl who had the funeral and she's done. She's going home. Her dad's died. Mm-hmm. Oh, but maybe Adam's into me and I'll come back. You know, Mary was done. You know, I'm the old woman again. Oh, but I'm going to come back. Now it happens to Quinn. So Quinn wants to manipulate these girls and she's above them and she's producing TV when the same damn thing happens to her, albeit off camera. But the same manipulation happens to her. She's right back in. And we see, Quinn, you are no better or worse than these girls that you are manipulating and probably think you're above.
Thus, UnREAL. All of its glory, right? Nobody is above anything on the show. Mm-hmm. Nobody is good or bad. Nobody is all one or the other. Mm-hmm. And nobody is above sort of being tied to whatever love and relationships make you do.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I love this show is because when the write-ups, you know, for the series first started, it was Rachel, heroine. She's not a heroine.
At all.
But we need to kind of identify these characters as some archetype in some way. But it's I got chills. I love this show so much because it doesn't do that. We're all good, we're all bad, and it's, you know, complicated.
That's the way of the world.
Yeah.
We all got a little bit of good in us and we all got a little bit of bad.
Yeah, especially Shia.
That might not be an even split. It might not be a little and a little. No, you know.
Well, I think I'd like to talk about her and Rachel, even though that's not a huge part of the episode, but I think it's a huge part of Shia being Shia, becoming who she is because she feels as though she needs to compete against Rachel.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, sometimes in those case scenarios, you maybe put that on yourself and you're like, I am driving this need to be in competition with this person and be better. But I mean, clearly Quinn stokes that fire. Mm-hmm. And in the first, I remember the first episode when I read the first scene, Quinn like really pointedly says to Shia like, people like her and she's got killer instincts, and to me the unspoken part of that is, and what do you bring to the table? So there's this like fire and need to constantly prove herself. Like that's the way I think about Shia, is it's not so much that Rachel is the enemy, it's that Rachel is the standard, and you have to like live up to that, and it's impossible. No matter what, she kind of feels like no matter what she does, Rachel will just always be better because of who she is and the favoritism. Like that's a kind of impossible standard.
And that was you could sense that in the scene when Mary started going off the rails and Rachel walks up to Shia, to you, and says, something wrong, what's going on? And for a second you could see on your face, it was like, oh shit, I've been caught. Maybe I.
Oh, you can see that. That's good
for sure. Yeah, I could absolutely see, because we knew what was coming, and then it was like you snapped out of it and you said, "Oh, but you did this and you did that, and it's your fault."
Yeah,
and you could see just total overcompensation from Rachel's point of view. She doesn't know what Shia did,
right?
So Rachel's like, "Oh damn, maybe it is my fault."
Yeah,
but it's actually not. It's actually Shia's fault. But Shia knows what Rachel does not know, and the overcompensation is that exactly.
Yeah, I kind of loved in the episode, like they almost have like a little bit of a truce during the family date. They're kind of like sitting side by side and they're kind of egging each other on, like, this is actually really going better than we thought it would. And then immediately it's like, it's you did it, it's not me.
I think you said like, you can take this one to the bank, you can count on that, or something like that. You kind of saw how the frenemy bond kind of formed. Like,
right.
I hate you, but I kind of need you right
but
now.
like, at the end of the day, like Shia knows Rachel is really freaking good at her job.
Right.
Like there's no reason that she's being kind of put on a pedestal that way by Quinn and everyone else.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a similar relationship to Rachel and Quinn. And you're kind of, at the bottom, it's like you, Rachel, and Quinn. And, we don't know what's going to happen with Quinn. We'll get into predictions. But, I always thought that Rachel was going to end up in Quinn's position. And then, Shia, you could possibly end up in Rachel. So you never know. But I think that's a great thing to say, frenemy, because it's true. Rachel is way too self-consumed to realize that, someone else is struggling.
Right. And she's got her own stuff going on. Yeah,
and that you are trying so hard to live up to Quinn's expectations and be Rachel and be better than Rachel, and it's hard. It's making you crazy. As we find out with Shia and Mary. I mean, we knew the seeds were being planted, 2 weeks ago when you switched her pills?
Yeah, last week.
Yeah, last week. Started making her drink.
Yeah.
And now things have finally come into fruition. And like we said, Rachel and Shia co-produce a date, the family date, where Mary's child comes with her sister and niece and nephew. And Mary is manic.
Absolutely, she's bipolar. She's on a high. Yeah, she's on a complete high. And, we kind of touched on it earlier. Rachel notices that there's something wrong. Well, it's so telling to have seen the scene with Rachel and her mom in episode 3. Of course Rachel knows, because Rachel sees the symptoms in herself. It's great writing. I could have never thought of that.
Well, question for you then. Do you think that Rachel knew Mary was on a bipolar manic, outrage when she questions you?
Right.
If she can call a spade and tell it, right from the get-go.
I mean, without asking Sherry directly, I can't say yay or nay. But one, Rachel's super smart. Two, I think the thing that works in Shia's favor is that Mary is no longer Rachel's girl. There's a deal that happens between Shia and Rachel, and Mary becomes Shia's girl and no longer a concern of Rachel's. We're all, as producers, incentivized by if our girls do well. You hear Quinn say there's cash bonuses and stuff. So while she notices, I don't think she thinks too deeply about it, because it's not her concern ultimately anymore.
Yeah.
I hope.
And she's in a bit of trouble with the network and keeps on digging herself out of a hole, basically.
Right. She's got a lot of other stuff to deal with going on.
Yeah. I mean, she definitely does. But we see a bit of a soul, again, in Rachel this episode. So let's do a quick rundown of this crazy-ass date. First of all, they come to the mansion, the family. Not the suitor and bachelorette go to the hometown, they come to the mansion. And Mary's sister seems super normal.
It's funny how genes skip.
Yeah.
But the first thing, too, if you remember, I feel like her sister was kind of onto something when she picked up the wine glasses and she said, "Is it virgin?" So her sister right there, that kind of already triggered. I'm like, is she an alcoholic or something? That's what kind of triggered my mind to get to thinking and getting the ball rolling. And that's when I was like, yeah, the sister knows more than what was revealed to me, because I always wanted to know what was the depth behind her character. And so that was kind of like the,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, it's still a bit up in the air. Do you think Shia really, I mean, I think she does. She starts to feel guilt in this episode, but she doesn't stop. It doesn't stop her.
Does she ever stop, though?
I can't say. I think the thing that was so interesting to me about playing this character is that Aline is incredibly hyper analytical. Like, I will take a scenario and run down every possible outcome and then make a decision based on, the consequences of every action. And Shia is not that person. Like, Shia reacts solely on impulse and makes a decision and doesn't think about the consequences. So she hears from Dr. Wagerstein, the awesome Amy Hill, that Mary's on meds and is bipolar, and she thinks, I'll just take her off her meds and she'll be fine. Like, there's no, well, if I take her off her meds and if I give her drinks, then she'll go crazy because she's bipolar. There's none of that sort of thought of a chain reaction. So, like, that's my favorite part of playing Shia, is it's all impulse. Like, you don't have to think about the consequences because you just go.
Yeah.
Because it makes good TV.
And production is so fast-paced.
Anyway, yeah.
You have to make decisions, like, right there. Makes good TV.
All about the bottom line.
Yeah, and the bottom line for Mary is getting it's so sad. It's really, there was a lot of sad parts to the episode for me.
Yeah.
But, okay, so basically what happens is, first of all, Chet gives a bunny to poor Anna. And she's bored. Her and Shamiqua apparently are very smart.
As they let you know.
Yes.
Counting eyelashes.
Yeah. And so Chet was like, I'm going to give Anna a bunny. And, she takes it to set on the date, Mary's family date. And, doesn't really ruin it by any means. I thought she was kind of, she knew what she was doing, but she wasn't a bitch.
Right. No, she just wanted to make herself look good and kind and generous in Adam's eyes.
And Mary went cray-cray.
She went a little cray.
Beyond cray-cray.
Yeah.
She was scary. Just scared. I would have ran the other way.
Yeah.
By the way, can we just talk for a second about how awesome Ashley Scott was in this episode?
Fantastic.
Like, awesome.
I have to you.
Yes.
Jaw dropping.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, she's super creepy and amazing. And I saw it in, what was it, the end of last episode or the one before, where she's standing, like, in front of a window or a mirror and she's in her underwear and she's like, I'm back.
She said, I'm back, bees.
Beware. Mama still got it.
Yeah.
Ashley is cast as Mary, who's the old desperate one. And I was looking at her, I was like, what is wrong? Like, at one point we were filming a scene where all the girls are in bikinis, and Ashley Scott, like, they all wanted, like, cover-ups and, sarongs, and Ashley Scott's like, I'm in a bikini and heels and I'm cool. And I'm like, yes, you should be, because you are fabulous.
Did you see that body?
I know, right? I'm like, what about you is old and desperate? Like, nothing.
Yeah, and I love the bet. We didn't bring this up earlier, but between Chet and Quinn.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and, Quinn almost sees herself as Mary.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
And that's how she kind of reeled her in, too. She kind of added an element of what she was going through with her situation with Chet, and kind of was like, girl, you got to go after what it is that you want, which is what she was trying to do in the end, but that didn't really work. However, that's what she was trying to do, reel her back in. Like, girl, go get him. Get your man,
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone has a weird effect on everybody else. And it's like a weird domino effect.
Right.
You haven't talked in a minute, Bobby. What do you think?
I just want to know if Mary's dead.
Dude, Mary's dead.
I don't know, and I also, I'll save it for predictions, but I also can tell you guys exactly what's going to happen to Shia. I already know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do I want to know?
I'm just sorry. I'm a little cloudy. I'm thinking about that stuff.
I mean,
It's gonna be a good prediction time.
it was like a really intense / mess up episode, and I'm hoping that nothing like bad takes her off the show because you are such an amazing, lovely person. And honestly, I kind of do relate to your character. I'm not gonna lie. Because I worked in production. I work in the entertainment industry. I know the feeling of wanting to just please a boss and doing whatever you have to do to please your boss to keep your position or get a higher position.
Right. And sometimes you think like, oh, is this good? Is this, you know what? I'll just deal with it later. I'll just do it. You know, you kind of compartmentalize that and say, I'll deal with the guilt or the consequences after the fact.
And what I've learned from watching this, though, is there's always a consequence. Such as the situation with Mary. Like, somebody is going to pay for this, whether it be Shia or whether it be Rachel. Somebody is going to be held accountable. So sometimes it does catch up to you. So let's talk about what is supposedly, I guess we're supposed to think, is Mary's trigger, which is her ex coming. So Rachel and Quinn decide it's going to be a good idea to not just go and interview the ex, Kirk, but to bring him to the date. And Rachel keeps on making up these excuses about how
empowering it's going to be.
I read this article about how when like someone that's abused meets their abuser, like they like are happier.
Sounds awful.
Yeah. On TV, and she doesn't know he's coming.
Confronting your abuser will change your life.
Yes. And the child is there.
It's going to change your life.
Change
it's
a
not
lot.
the way that she thinks it is.
Yeah, especially when you're drunk and off your bipolar medication.
Yeah, don't do that.
Well,
at
they
home.
didn't know.
If they did, would that have stopped them?
Ooh. I don't think they would have went that far.
I don't think it would have mattered.
The lady is almost dead. Well, she could be dead.
She's totally dead, you guys.
So did you guys not see there's like a preview for next week's episode?
I did. I saw it. So I mean, that's why I'm saying, like, guys, she's dead.
The press conference. And
We never saw it.
Yeah, we didn't.
Oh, you didn't see it?
Okay. Yeah,
you really want like a Jon Snow conspiracy theory
I don't know.
going on, don't you?
I just took the episode because we never saw the preview. So
Right.
we just
You
when
just
we
watched
looked
the
at the episode, I was like, wait a second. I know how television works.
Right.
I need to see her like in the morgue.
And maybe not even that.
I need to be confirmed.
You
Like I
never
gotta see
know.
a funeral.
She might come back from the grave.
Mary's gonna be haunting all
She's
those
gonna come
bitches
back
in
as
the
her
house.
own evil twin, you guys.
You never know. This is TV. It's entertainment.
Unreal gets unreal and stars ghosts. Next season, it's all gonna be ghosts. No, but-
Everlasting ghost hunters.
Yes, seriously, it's like if you're on Everlasting, you're everlasting. You're gonna be around forever.
It's in the title.
Seriously. Duh.
What if that house has a bunch of ghosts of like women? I mean, I'm sure she's not the first. Let's be real
I
here.
really hope the writers are listening right now and are like, yes, ghosts next season. It's amazing.
Just cut me a check.
I'll take a byline. It's fine.
I'll come in and write. I'll do this for you.
I'll do
you
all
guys.
the work.
So it does not go well with Mary and Kirk, as expected. And the PA, I love how the PA shoves Adam out right as like, go save her.
Yeah, Rachel gives her the cue to shove Adam out there.
And he does, and gets in a little brawl and Kirk's strong.
Yeah.
Well, we knew Adam
big
couldn't fight. He's a
guy.
pretty boy. Let's be real. He's not. The way he looks, the way he's acted, he's designed to get his ass kicked in that scene. So that wasn't surprising at all, right?
Okay.
And then Jeremy saves the day.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Some pretty people can fight.
She's like,
Hello.
Like I said, I watched the episode twice, and I'm like, where did Adam go? Like, he just, like, he's like, oh, and he has this, like, huge black eye.
and he's like, I need a cup of tea.
I know. And he's like, yeah, I was just being a nice guy. It's like, okay. All right,
Nice
dude.
will still get you hurt.
I mean, he's gonna be all right. He's gonna be all right. But Mary, you can tell she's bipolar, and there's something wrong with her with how she's like on and off and on and off. But she's very convinced at this point that Adam and her are going to be together.
Very
And
convinced.
Lily Bell is going to move to the UK and get an accent.
That scene was hard to watch for me. Like it was hard to film, and I was like, girl, come back to the light. Like, don't go there. It's too much.
In that scene, you were even like, okay, but how do you feel? Like, how do you feel about it?
Today,
Exactly.
now,
Like
in
she's
this
trying
moment.
to, like, reel her back in. Like, okay, I get that, but come back, And that's where I really saw, like, she was crazy. She was a different person.
it was devastating, especially the scene where she says goodbye to her daughter. And when I watched it the first time, I was like, uh-oh, like...
You know something's wrong.
Either she's saying goodbye because she's going to kill herself, or she's saying goodbye and they want us to be upset because it is going to be the last time. I knew either way, whether it was like an accident or not, they were making it very sentimental. Like, know that your mother always loves you.
Because even the look in her face, though, just showed me that it was something deeper to that. It's not like, okay, mommy loves you, you know, I'll be back in a few weeks, or that type of thing. It just was something in the eyes. Mm-hmm. My mama never looked at me like that.
Right, there was definitely a finality to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And we don't learn about a character this late and focus on a character this late not to have this happen. Come on, that's how TV works. You don't go 5 episodes in and go, oh, hey, Mary, let's introduce her. Oh, she's dead. Of course, you know, like we knew that was going to come one way or another.
I didn't think she was going to die.
I just need the confirmation that she's dead. I don't believe that preview that I haven't seen yet.
I will show it to you after we finish this, okay?
We'll watch it.
I'm a believer now.
I mean, they don't say she's dead, but like, I mean, why else would they? Okay, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
But it, nonetheless, upsetting. And let's talk about what really drove Mary. So Kirk says to her, Mary goes to see Kirk after the whole incident on set, wants to see him alone, and he basically says, whatever you have, Lily Bell is going to get, and she would better be raised by strangers.
The key for me is before that. The key for me is when he talks about hitting her and says, what did you say when I hit you? And you said, I'm sorry. That to me, that's obviously a weird thing for her to say. But that to me put them both up in the air, because I've had this sneaking suspicion that Mary hadn't been telling the truth about Kirk
yeah, you mentioned
beating her.
that last week.
Yeah. And now, and I don't know because that didn't get confirmation, but if she were saying I'm sorry as she's getting hit, neither one of them's telling 100% of the truth to me. It's a weird thing to say.
There's two huge issues, right?
Yeah.
There's the domestic abuse and there's the bipolar.
Exactly.
And, you know,
And the manipulation, the mental manipulation he has over her.
Absolutely.
Or whatever's going on
Because
there.
he clearly validates her. To me, he was the one who validated her or made her feel of some, like, if she had some self of worth in the world. And he kind of gave her that and mixed with the whole bipolar element. So now I'm kind of questioning what was their relationship like.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get that. We didn't get his side of the story.
That's not the actress Mary. That's not the real Mary. That's the actress Mary.
Right.
He said that, and I know. Okay, so maybe he's a wife beater. Maybe we shouldn't listen to him because the only thing we've seen him of is he comes on set, starts a fight, kicks someone's ass, and gets his ass kicked. He's not exactly a trustworthy character. But just him saying that about actress Mary with the behavior we've seen from her, I'm sitting here like, wait a second. Mary's story is not 100% true.
Right.
His, I mean, he's no saint, but Mary, something's in the gray area here. And I never got that. And we don't need that now. But I just never got that. And it leaves me wondering, like, what's going on in this relationship?
And what did he endure?
Yeah,
too,
absolutely.
And was there a relationship before she got diagnosed and on meds? You know?
well, what was their relationship like before that point? Did she get diagnosed after they were separated? You know, I think there's a lot of unanswered questions around that, and you could have a whole series about it. Like, one episode isn't going to be enough to explore that sort of depth.
Right.
And we don't need the
those
answers.
issues, too.
I'm cool with the gray area. We don't need those answers because it's not
dead.
central to the show. But
That sounded so harsh. I'm sorry, that sounded so harsh.
it does raise questions, and I think it raises valuable questions to say, wait a second, is Mary probably not a true martyr? You know, she's probably not a true feminist hero like what Rachel talked about making her or whatever. There's a lot more gray area here.
I think, again, that's the show, though.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be 100% anything.
Nobody is 100 on this show.
Yeah, and it's sad because Mary, we knew all the episodes leading up to this, was trying really hard to be good. Like, she really, I mean, maybe it's just me, but I saw a solid effort for her trying, you know, turning down drinking. And she even said to you, I think there's a difference between being an alcoholic and choosing not to drink.
Yeah.
But it also kind of showed me the type, well, thinking about it now, the type of men that she gravitates towards. She wants to feel protected. So when she saw the Adam kind of come in and kind of protect her, she was like, oh, he's in love with me. He loves me. You know, she was convinced. And then seeing the man that she was once involved with or married to, he kind of seemed like that dominant personality too. So I can kind of see the type of men she gravitated towards. She wants to feel protected. So
I suppose so, but
to a certain extent.
I'm probably going to be semi-alone in this, but I didn't think Kirk seemed like a super bad guy from just his appearance on, like, he came and he said, I know there's cameras, I just want to talk to her and I want to see my daughter. He had a picture of Lily Bell on the phone. Like, the thing is, we don't have any confirmation of him beating Mary.
He says, I hit you. Like, what did you say when I hit you?
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, so he hit, like, hitting her. No one.
Right.
That's not okay. Not okay at all. But we don't know both sides of the relationship, and he did seem like he genuinely wanted to go there to make amends. But of course, when you find out, whoa, my daughter's here on national television. Like, a guy with a temper, and then you're this British guy who's dating like 5 other girls. No, he's gonna go off, and he did. And I'm not saying he's a good guy, but he wasn't the guy I was picturing.
Right. She painted the episode prior. She paints a very different, not different, but a very
villain,
scary picture. Yeah, it's sort of a stereotypical villain, and here comes this like, sport jacket wearing sort of all-American guy, and picture of his kid on the phone, and I've tried to talk to you for 6 months and you won't respond. Like there's 2 sides to it, and again, like, how deeply can you explore those things on an hour-long show?
So many other crazy stories to explore.
Exactly.
But that's what's so amazing about this show, is that, like, we leave every episode wanting more of that storyline, and we're not necessarily going to get it.
Right.
But we want more constantly. Let's get into when Jeremy intercepts. Let's just get into this love triangle. I'm sorry, it's a square at this point, of Jeremy, Rachel, Adam, and Lizzie, who I was like, who? Lizzie.
Wake up.
Keep on forgetting about Lizzie. Damn it. So let's just talk about really quick.
So does Jeremy.
I know, seriously. He's just confused. Poor guy.
God.
Like, so basically at the beginning of the episode, Jeremy is like probably picturing Rachel when him and Lizzie are having sex.
100%.
Yeah. And is like throwing her around. She doesn't like it.
No. He's like, oh, got him confused. That's what Rachel likes. My bad.
Like she was a doll or something, like a mannequin, like she said.
It
was just like, ooh, turn off.
I mean,
turn off.
Yeah, but that's what he did last week with
that's what he likes.
Rachel liked it.
I didn't not like it.
Keep your girls straight.
I guess it depends on the type of girl you want.
I guess so. So when we really find out that there's going to be a lot of tension, which we already knew, but when Kirk, Mary's ex-husband, tries to attack, he like literally is like, this is you. He looks at Rachel and he was like, you did this. You did this. 2 security guys try to get at him. He throws them off. Then Jeremy sees and just like, just goes towards him to save Rachel.
Yeah. It's a parallel of what you see in the first episode when Shia shows Lizzie the footage of the breakdown that Rachel has last year. Somebody is going after Rachel. Granted, it was a, camera guy saying crazy in the head, crazy, and Jeremy sort of this protective streak over her, like has this protective streak about her and just goes after him.
I didn't understand. I mean, I get Lizzie's reaction to that, and I understand why we have to do that, and I understand the rift we're creating between Lizzie and Jeremy, but to me, context aside with that, and you can't ever remove context, but this was a huge man going after a tiny woman, and everybody was standing around. When Jeremy butts in, I'm like, you know what? I would have done the same thing. You would have done the same thing to protect a coworker, aside from the history that he and Rachel and all that have. And so I see Liz's reaction. I'm like, I get it. I understand why you're doing this. But you also have to remember this was a crazy dude who was going to like strangle her or something.
Right, man.
And everybody saw the video that was on the crew the week before where she says, he beat me, he broke my daughter's arm. Like, everybody knows that he's dangerous. But how sick is it that at the end of the day, you're going to push it to the very, very, very last second to get as much good TV out of it as you can?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anybody else other than Jeremy would have stepped in until he was an inch from Rachel.
Yeah, and I mean, 2 people already did step in.
Right.
Adam got knocked out. The other 2 crew members stepped in and got thrown down. So it was like, wait a second. He's already gone on a rampage. Rachel's not going to stop
right.
him. What is she going to do? Run away? He's going to chase her around the property?
Because she was even looking like calling for backup. She was scared.
Yeah.
She was terrified, which I would have been too. So it's kind of like, who next?
Yeah, she's a tiny human.
Yeah. While still remaining eye contact with the crazy dude, though. She's like, okay, guys, I'm strong. I got this. But
she was looking like, I met my match today.
She's like, crazy, recognize crazy.
Exactly. She's like, karma is here. He's gonna kill me.
This is him.
But, and I love Lizzie is kind of a boring character. I know she's a really great actress, and we have some people at AfterBuzz here that are friends with her. She's amazing, but the character herself is like so weak. And the only time I really liked her today, though, was when she, Rachel was talking to Jeremy after the guy almost attacked her, and Rachel was thanking Jeremy, and then Lizzie comes up and says, "Oh, isn't Jeremy great? I know, bye, like, thanks," and kind of just pushes her away, and she's like, "Is your hand okay?"
Yeah, this is my job, is to take care of him after stuff like this.
I know.
Kind of asserting herself.
Yeah, really asserting herself, and I'm kind of glad she finally stood up, but she suggested postponing the wedding.
I'm sorry. It's all kind of apparent. Jeremy still has feelings for Rachel. Period. Point blank. And Lizzie, it's kind of like, at this point, it's like, girl, wake up, because I don't feel sorry for you anymore. Your man is in love with another woman, and she can see that. So how long are you going to play the victim for? I can't feel bad for you for too long.
So Jeremy and Lizzie were on and off, and then he has this sort of magical, intense, very short-lived thing with Rachel in Mexico, and it all kind of blows up in his face. And it's what's interesting to me is I find it very parallel to Chet and Quinn with the roles reversed. So like, they're bad for you, you shouldn't be attracted to them, but somehow, some way, you still find yourself drawn to that person. And I just don't think he can help it. And I know more than one guy that likes a quote unquote crazy girl.
Oh yeah, they all do. It's like how we all like assholes.
Right. It's more fun. It's more exciting. You don't know what Nobody's ever like, you know what I want? The nice, reliable one with a steady job.
You always want one that's bad for you.
Right.
At least one time in your life.
The one who's like, what personality is going to show up today?
It's like, what do you find most attractive about the opposite sex? A good, strong head on their shoulders. Like, that's not what anybody wants.
Yeah.
That's not what I say.
Strong something else.
Hey, now.
Arms, of course.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So that also leads to Rachel and Adam, which got a little bit less screen time, but still strong screen time. They had a moment. They had two moments, actually, that were pretty strong. One of which was when Rachel was basically telling Adam how to deal with kids and pretend like he likes them, because she hates kids, too. And they were bonding, and in my head, Rachel's like, this is my buddy. That's what she wants him to be, right? She wants him to be her buddy, but there's more than that. And, she's like, look into their eyes. And then he looks into her eyes, and then,
They have a moment.
And then they also have a moment later when she goes up to him and goes, do you really like any of these girls except for Grace?
Right.
And he's like, maybe, and just looks at her.
Yeah.
At this point, she's trying to convince herself that he's just a friend, but she's attracted to him. I got that. So that's what she's trying to appease her own self. Like, okay, he's just a friend. Don't do it, because she knows from experience working with her coworkers isn't the
I love the
thing.
scene in episode 5 that kind of almost, I think it ends the episode, or it's like the next to last scene, where she goes into his room and he kind of goes to make a move on her, and she's like, listen, you're like my only friend right now. I think she's desperate for a friend.
Yeah.
And really trying to fight it. Yeah.
Exactly. She doesn't want to kind of ruin that one thing that she really has, because they see eye to eye more than anybody on the episode. I mean, on the show, to me. So they kind of on the same level.
Yeah, I think there's two Rachels. There's the Rachel with Jeremy, and then there's Rachel with Adam. The Jeremy is the good Rachel. The Adam is the a little bit, crazy, manipulative, but sexy and fun, adventurous.
British.
And British. It's it's enough that like she would have a love interest with the suitor himself, but to have it be like basically a love square, it's a lot, but it works. It really works.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about the ending with Mary, which we have all been alluding to this whole time. Mary jumps off the roof. If you guys didn't know.
Spoiler alert.
And Rachel goes up to help her. And before Mary jumps, Rachel says, take my hand. And Mary says, come with me. This creepy eye lock that it's like, we're both crazy. And we both are going to crazy town. Come with me. And Rachel's eyes are so big and buggy. And then Mary, like, it's so messed up.
So she didn't fall, though.
No.
She jumped.
Oh,
Okay.
she jumped. Come with me. And she's wearing this, like, flowy
Why does
long
she
dress.
look like Elsa from Frozen? Why do you have to jump off the roof in the Elsa from Frozen dress being like, let it go? Like, come on, guys.
She let more than enough go.
Dude, that's what it was. I was trying to put, like, a social, like, I was like, what does this remind me of? It's like,
I'll tell you.
That was a good one, though. That was a good one. Let it go.
Oh, my God.
That's what we should have opened with.
Yeah, seriously, that was so messed up. Okay, so she's down, and she's really down, and like we said, I think she might be donezo, but everybody runs to all the crew members once she's down, but when Quinn is in the control room, Quinn says, "This is terrible. We have like a huge thing right now,
And I don't have a camera.
and I don't have a camera. It's not like the police won't come, but I don't have a camera."
Yep.
Quinn runs and literally has blood on her hands by the end of the episode, which I think was very, symbolic.
Right. Nobody knew that she, but like Quinn couldn't know she was going to jump. Nobody, in their wildest dreams would have thought that. And Shia certainly did not.
Yeah.
Watch next week is all I was
Oh,
saying.
God. I mean, I honestly feel
A little sick about it.
Yeah, I was about to say I feel bad for Shia, but I don't. But, like, it's complicated, you guys.
Everybody played a hand in that situation, from Mary's ex-husband or whatever he was, from Shia's character to Rachel to Quinn.
Yeah.
And I think that moment when Quinn kind of touched her blood, it was kind of like a realization, like, look what I've done, because they all played a part in that.
I love that you say that because Twitter does not think that.
Leave her alone. She's nice in real life.
Shia's just one of the puppets, and that's
She is.
the
She's
truth.
completely a pawn.
Yeah, she is. All right, guys. Well, that wraps up this week. Let's get into some predictions.
Bobby first. He has all of them.
Yeah, I want to hear.
Now,
He's ready, too. He is so ready.
I like this strobe effect.
You guys are familiar with the term scapegoating.
Yes.
Here's the deal. We can't lose Quinn. We can't lose Rachel. We can't lose Chet. All three of them are culpable in different ways on this show as producers. Who can we lose? I hate to say it. Shia. Whether it's next week or the week after, Shia takes the fall. Not literally. That's a terrible metaphor in the show.
Especially right now.
Shia's going to take the
That
fall
was in
for
poor
this.
taste.
It was in very poor taste. I know that Shia is at fault for the meds in the first place, but when you talk about if this had happened in reality, you talk about lawsuits and jail time and all this stuff, the executive producers are ultimately on the hook. But I think when you look at things and scandals that happen in organizations and politicians and things around this country, the small guy takes the fall for it. Shia is gone, whether it's next week or the week after.
Keep watching.
And let me add this. I think Mary, we see her character exposition and then she goes by death. Shia, we're then going to see her character exposition next week and the week after, and however this happens, resignation, literally running away, jail, whatever the impetus is, we get to know a ton about Shia, and then she goes.
I'm going to run with you definitely on that Shia prediction. I really agree with you on that, but maybe I also think it's going to kind of change how they begin to kind of produce the storylines and things like that, being that this is a drastic thing that has come into play. So I can kind of see that happening. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm like kind of all over the place, actually. So I'm anticipating the unexpected.
All right. Well, we know that you cannot tell us anything, Aline. So I'm gonna end the predictions here and say that Shia will. Next week is not going to be her last episode because, like Jay, she is a fighter and will sue the shit out of these people. I think if things go wrong. And, she also has plausible things to sue for. And she's not going anywhere. And she is a manipulative person. And she's learning from the best. So she's going to manipulate her way back into a position. And if Rachel rises up in the hierarchy because something happens with Quinn, which I think Quinn ending the episode with blood on her hands was very symbolic to me. It's like, this is on Quinn. I think this is going to be on Quinn's hands. So that's what I think. This episode was crazy. I loved it. Where can we find all of you guys on the interweb? Please.
I'll start Aja Monet here, and you can find me on Twitter at Aja M. Seldon, spelled AJA, of course.
Yes, and our very special guest, who thank you so much for coming
Thank
in,
you guys
Aline.
for having me. This was super fun.
I'm so glad.
I am on Twitter and Instagram at Aline Elasmar.
Yeah, follow her. She just started.
I know. I have like 100 followers. It's really
No
impressive.
internet trolls either.
Not tomorrow.
150.
I'm on Twitter, guys, at Bobby DeMuro.
And of course, please follow us at AfterBuzz TV, at AfterBuzz TV on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the works, and me, Sam Davidson, online at samdavidsonentertainment.com and on Twitter and Instagram at SamD43. We will see you guys next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Tic-tac.
I was like, you don't think I should be a writer?
Later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.